Hello there. Yeah, as you can see in the title, I will be presenting my updated profile, deck profile for Bruce. So, first, let's start with the right line. Innocent Man, when drawn second, going second, you draw one. Next would be Steve. When placed on Vanguard Circle, choose a card from Soul and call it to back row center. Usually that's Matt, and he goes back. May Soul charge 1, and if in his continuous ability, if he is in final rush, he gains 5k. So the next right line would be the grade 2, Diabolos Anger Recharge. When this unit is placed on Vanguard Circle, put a rear guard into your soul and draw a card. So when put, if Matt is in the back, he gets 2. Put in the soul again, and you get to draw one more card. So essentially you're drawing 2 cards in one turn. So next would be, of course, the main Vanguard, Diabolos Viamance Bruce. So his first auto skill, at the beginning of your battle phase, if all of your units have Diabolos in their card names, until the end of your opponent's next turn, you final rush. And his new ability, and if your opponent's Vanguard is at grade 3 or greater, you final burst. So final burst is also final rush. Second auto, when this unit attacks, if you're in final burst, counterblast 1, choose a column and stand all of your rear guard units with Diabolos in its card name in that column, and they get 5k until the end of turn. So give 10k to a column. So after the right line, we're proceeding to grade 3s. Of course, I'm running 3 additional copies of Bruce, so that makes 4 copies, and use the Regalia's piece, Gracious Gradel, or Gracious Gradel, how you pronounce it. Yeah, so I have 4 extra copies of Persona Ride. Next would be 2 copies of Diablo Striker Greg. Now his skill, when you're in final burst, Soul Blast 2, you counter charge 1, and this unit gets 5k until the end of turn. Now next is Diablo's Heavy Launcher, Patrick. Now this is the new card just released from the set 10 Dragon Masquerade. Now his first skill is the continuous. If you're in final burst, this unit gets 10,000 power. It is also active on opponent's turn. So unlike Jamil, which gains additional 10k and 5k shield, this one gets only 10k power. And when this unit attacks a Vanguard, if you're in final rush, Soul Blast 1, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and move it to the Guardian Circle. And if you're in final burst, choose 2 cards instead of 1. Now this is also a big of a gamble card, because if your opponent's rear guards have guard value, it will stack up to their Vanguard. Let's just say I attack for 20. So if you manage to pull 2 opponent's rear guards, that's essentially you're giving an additional guard value to your opponent. So unless you want board removal, this is a good card. But for going for damage is very rough, unless you have a grade 1 booster that is a great booster, which is also in this set, and we'll explain later when the combos start. So next I run 4 copies of Diablo Snucker Jamil. His skill, if you're in final burst, this unit gets 10,000 power and 5k shield, just like I mentioned earlier. And it also active on opponent's turn too. When this unit is placed on rear guard, so if your vanguard is Diabolos, Viamance Bruce, use Counterblast 1, Soul Charge 1, and you may choose up to one grade 3 or less unit, normal unit, with Diabolos in its card name from your soul and call it to open rear guard. Now, this is also a part, another variation of my build. So, if you are facing Welstra, you might only run 2 copies of these and replace those 2 other copies for Diabolos, Diver, Julian. Now, his skill doesn't involve any final rush or final burst, so when you are in grade 3, his skill, because once per turn, when this unit attacks a vanguard, you counterblast 1, and this unit gets 2k for each until the end of turn for each card in your damage zone. So if you have a vanguard with Bruce in its card name, you may soul charge 1 for every 2 cards in your damage zone. So choose up to the same number of cards you soul charge by this effect from your soul and call them to open. So if you have 4 damage, you can soul charge 2 and you may call 2 from soul. This variation also, if you are facing in your locals, Welstra, 2 copies of Jamil and 2 copies of Julian. Now, if you do not have any people who play the retiring game or prison game, might as well call 2 because the extra guard value of Jamil is very good in some matchups. Next, the last copy of the grade 2s would be last set of grade 2s would be Diabolos Madonna Mayagan. So her skill, when this unit attacks, if you're in final rush, this unit gets additional 10k power until the end of turn. So when she swings, she will be 20k. When in Persona right turn, she'll be 30k. If you restored her, she'll be attacking for 40k. Next will be the grade 1s. Now, I'm running the new support for Bruce. It's named Diabolos Girls Heidi. So when this unit boosts, if you're in final rush, this unit gets 5,000 until the end of turn. So if you're swinging with her, let's say she attacks, so 8k, she gains 5k, so it will become 13. Restood by Bruce, she gains another 5k, so that would be 18k. So when she attacks, when she boosts again, it became a 22k booster. Usually I put her with Megan so that it will scale to a magic number, but in some matchups I usually put Patrick over her so that the power of Patrick would be at maximum, but Persona Ride will become 58, and the guard value of the opponent would be very the guard value would be an extra 10k, but because of her, you additionally gain 15k of a booster. So yeah, the 3 copies, I'm running 3 copies of her. A bit stuck. And the next would be, of course, from set 9, Diabolos Girls Trish. If you're in final rush, this unit gets 5k power and 5k shield. So just like Jamil, she gains an extra 5k shield. So the guard value of this deck is very high, and it becomes a defensive Bruce or tankier Bruce. Like I'm trying to build this just like my Violence Bruce, being tanky. And of course, if she's in the back, she's a 13k, or yeah, if she's a 13k booster. When we stood, she will become an 18k booster. Now, if you intercept with either Jamil or Patrick, she may move to the front, and I might call Heidi. So it will be a good combo. Yeah, good combo like this. And boost attack. So I'm running 4 copies of her because she's very good in some matchups. Next is the the last set of copies of Diabolos would be 3 copies of Diabolos Madonna Mabel. So her skill, when this unit boosts a Vanguard, if you're in Final Rush, counter blast 1, choose one of your Vanguards and it gets triple drive until the end of turn. This card at set 2 was disregarded, but managed to purchase this when it was very cheap. Then the last episode of the Vanguard Wheel Dress Season 2 came out and she was featured and the price went up, so I'm glad I managed to bought this at a cheaper price. So with her, you can pressure your opponent to guard with a PG or an Elementaria Sanctitude, and you manage to gain 3 additional cards. You get an extra card because Bruce only gets 2 drives, so giving Bruce a triple drive makes a 50-50 situation for your opponent to guard or not. So that would be my last of the normal units. Next would be, of course, the last grade 1s, I think, is the PGs. First, I'm running 3 copies of Recusal Hate Dragon. Now its skill. First, you may only have 4 cards with Sentinel as in the deck. So when this unit is put on Guardian Circle, choose one of your units, and it cannot be hit until the end of the battle. If your hand has 2 or more cards, choose a card from your hand and discard it. So if you have if you have these 2 in your hand, you may use a PG without discarding because that's what it's skill. Yes, of course. And the order, Blitz Order, Elementaria Sanctitude, counts as a Sentinel also. You may only have 1 Elementaria Sanctitude in a deck. So if your opponent Vanguard has triple drive, so also, just like I mentioned earlier, because Mabel giving Bruce triple drive, it can be also nullified by Elementaria Sanctitude. So if your opponent Vanguard has triple drive, the ability can be played without paying a cost. So play this also with a discard a card from hand, just like a normal PG. If your Vanguard is a grade 3 or less, choose one of your units and it cannot be hit until the end of battle, and remove this card. Essentially removing from the game, cannot be in the drop or just near the bind zone, but not in the drop. Okay, now I'm going for triggers. Of course, over trigger. Now, as much as I want the Gull Mage Shield, but since I got this one, Terrifying Wicked Dragon King Vam Freeze. So, of course, with OT, when you drive check this, you get a drive check or damage check, you get 100 million power. So essentially, it will be if you poke this first attack of your, when the opponent poke this with this first attack and you manage to damage check this, unless he drive checks an OT, I cannot be hit. So it's additional effects because of Dark States OT effect. Additional effect, you get during your turn, all of your Vanguard gets an additional of 10,000 power and an extra crit until the end of this fight. So if my ride line, if I manage to, let's just say this is the deck, and manage to swing and attack, drive checks an OT. So when I'm in grade 1, he gains an edge. So this is 18k with 2 crits. So when I ride up with my grade 2, it will become 20k with 2 crits, and when I ride with Bruce, it will become a 23k with 2 crits. So until the end of this fight, this is great. Unless the festival booster is released, I might be using this, and until it release, it will be red OT. Next would be after the OT, of course, I'm running 8 crits, so yeah, self-explanatory. Crits gain extra damage and 10k power, so I'm running 8 crits. Now this is optional, you may get the other 4 crits as the effect crit, but since I don't have them right now, I'm using the common from set 1, the Flinty Slasher, so 8 crits. Next would be the draw triggers. Now, of course, it's not Diabolos in its name, but it's the extra 5k shield value is very good. Next would be 2 regular heals, and let's just say this is also a very good heal, the crit effect heal and the set 9 effect heal. Now I'm using this when I'm facing stride decks or if I'm at second turn. Now this one is good matchup against Zorga, Babzagra, Gandiva, of course, because it really sent 10. Additional skill, when this unit is put on Guardian Circle, if the attacking unit's crit is 2 or greater and its crit is increased by a non-trigger effect ability, or its original crit is 2 or greater, this unit gets an additional 15k shield until the end of battle. So yes, that's self-explanatory. So you mulligan for your hand, so this would be a good, I think this is a good draw. So yeah, okay. Yep. But first, you ride deck first. Stand up, Vanguard. Since you Bruce is greatly an advantage when he's going first, but for stride decks, I like to have Bruce going second, preferably. So if you're not facing stride decks, I'm going first. I draw. First, we teach the draw trigger. Ride, then skill, soul charge, and that's a bad way to start. Kill trigger. Then, okay, see, since we don't have guard value in our hand, so we don't guard. Since we don't have a trigger, damage check, a copy of Bible. So stand and draw. Might want to teach Jamil here because he's not at grade 3 yet. So ride Richard skill, I put Mat to the soul and draw again. Now since you're not final rush ability, so you might just swing with then drive check, no trigger, and since no guard, Megan, since you have by guard value in your hand, might as well guard. Then of course it's your turn now. Stand and draw. Oh, PG. In here you might discard Greg because he doesn't have shield value, and also I don't have things to counter charge yet. So ride Diabolos Viamance Bruce. Now since you're at first turn, a final rush, just call Mabel. Yeah, just call Mabel so that he can be pressured to PGU with Mabel boost. At beginning of battle phase, of course, Bruce skill, final rush. Since he's not at grade 3, you can't final burst yet. So boost, attack, counter blast. Bruce gains triple drive. He PGs it. I first check, no trigger. Second check, heal trigger. Heal is good. And third check, no trigger. Now it's up to you how when you defend the next turn. But for me, I need at least 2 CB to work with this. So first damage, crit power, and draw trigger power. You have 2 high D. Might as well commit for the 4th damage. Of course, Jamil. Now it's your turn again. Stand and draw. Ooh, Patrick. So your Persona Ride. Draw again. Another copy of Bruce. So would like to do call this first. Counter Blast 1. Soul Charge. Oh, a crit. Nice. It's a bad juju. Call him so that you might have extra value in your hand, and call Heidi here. Now, at the beginning of battle phase, final rush, but since you're at grade 3, your final burst. So with these cards in your hand, you might survive next turn. Of course, Heidi boost. Patrick attack, then of course his skill. Soul Blast 1. You final burst. You pull 2 opponent's rear guards to the guardian circle. So yeah, that's, and it's her skill. She gains an extra 5k when boosting. Okay, boost. Attack. Broke first. Become triple drive. Then his skill. Restand, they gain 5k. So Persona riding, so this would be 20, 30, 35, and this would be 18. 35 and 18. This is a 53k column. That's a big number. So he doesn't guard. First check, second check, no trigger, third check, a critical trigger. So he's at 3 damage. Might as well give the crit here and power here. He swings and attack again. And if we manage to pull 2 rear guards with no guard value, and you might just win. So that would be it. Cut to. Sorry, I hope that you managed to enjoy this deck building of mine, and hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.